Bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
What is this?
A Bacon Bit?
We haven't done a Bacon Bit, and I don't even know.
Hold on, we did one on that great Netflix movie.
We've done a few on Netflix movies. Do you even know what it was? There was Extraction, and then there was something else.
We did Hamilton.
We did a Hamilton Bacon Bit. That's true.
Yeah, people seem to like that one.
Yeah, they did. But we have a couple things to talk about today because we saw a couple movies tonight.
New movies.
They're back.
Movies. And we even had a theater experience.
We got to go back to the theater.
I'm crying right now, guys. Not just because I have coronavirus. Can I say that?
No. Now
we just got demonetized.
Step further away from you now.
Yeah.
No. So let's talk a little bit about our marathon.
Yeah. So we decided today, the day of recording, which would kind of change things up a little bit, but we decided to see one movie in the theater and one movie streaming because we could, and then also record a Bacon Bit and an actual show. So our day is about... Our full-on recording day is...
We're into like almost hour 6 of seeing each other.
Yeah, it'll be
At
a full
least.
work day of Baconsale.
Oh, and we ate dinner together, which was nice.
Yes.
And these guys judge me for having no utensils in my kitchen.
Oh my gosh. This
is not a Bacon Bit.
It's not a Bacon Bit.
Yeah.
But just know that Kent has no utensils to cook a pizza in his
I'm working on it. I've got tinfoil. I've got an oven.
You don't have oven mitts.
Yeah, that's fine. I use
didn't
paper
have
towels.
a pizza cutter.
This is not a Bacon Bit.
Right. Okay,
So we saw two movies, one in the theater, one at home, but we're going to start with the one at home.
Yes.
One at home.
Because Bill and Ted Face the Music, otherwise known as Bill and Ted 3.
It also came out last week.
It came out last week. It has been in theaters, but it's that dual in theaters and streaming that happens during they're trying out during the pandemic,
Right.
to see how it goes.
Premium video on demand.
Yes, which is expensive. If you're going to rent it, it's $20.
But it's also different because you can buy it right now. Which Mulan is doing the same thing
$25.
next week.
Yeah.
But usually it's just you rent it for $20 and then that's it.
Yeah, but you can buy it for $5 more, which we did the math, and $20 isn't bad for the three of us to watch a movie together.
But a normal rental, like I rented a movie earlier this week, the most expensive they get is usually like $6 or so.
At most.
Yeah. I got like a 4K rental for $6.
yeah,
I bet it wasn't better than this one.
So
We'll see.
So we watched Bill and Ted Face the Music, which is the third in the trilogy of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Came out in '89, and then Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which came out in 1991. So it's been a while since the last. Bill and Ted movie.
Can we say long awaited, or was this was kind of rumored in development for the past decade?
Yeah,
probably.
I mean they were joking around with this idea, and I think even Keanu Reeves,
Alex Winters was joking about this idea.
He's really needed this. But no, Keanu Reeves, I think, made something where he made a comment about, we've been working on it. We'll see what happens. And people are like, what?
Yeah.
Another Bill and Ted movie?
And his career has gone quite well in the past 5-6 years.
Yeah. He's done great with the John Wick stuff. And then he's become this like pop culture phenomenon. He's a meme now.
People just love him.
He's breathtaking.
Yeah. Well,
That's
he
what
normally is.
That's what he says.
Yes.
So then they had this movie. And they said they were not going to do a third Bill and Ted movie until they found a story that worked. Because in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, they travel through time and space to find
song that will unite the world.
To pass their history test, so that they then can create music that will change the world.
Yes.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, someone tries to sabotage that by sending back evil robots who then kill Bill and Ted, and they go to hell.
So less a time travel movie, more a
afterlife.
Heaven and hell movie. Yes.
Yes. And then at the end, they create a song that changes the world.
Right, and you get this whole closing credits scene
montage
that tells the story of the greatest band on the planet.
Yeah.
Or so you thought.
Because Bill and Ted Face the Music. Ken, you want to give a synopsis for that?
Yes. Once told they'd save the universe during a time-traveling adventure, two would-be rockers from San Dimas, California find themselves as middle-aged dads still trying to crank out a hit song and fulfill their destiny.
Which seems weird.
Well, in concept.
Oh, we should clarify. We are not giving spoilers for either of the movies we're going to discuss at the beginning here. We'll give
the back half.
We'll give a distinct line of when we start going to spoiler territory. So even if you haven't seen it, you can listen to this first part.
Yeah, so in concept, this is great. I've always wanted to see them because I never really believed that they hit it all that big after Bogus Journey.
Even with the montage?
The montage was cool, but they used a Kiss song as well. I'm like, I need a better
God Gave
song.
Rock and Roll to You?
It's a good song.
It's on Joey's Favorites number 5.
Number 5?
Number 5.
On your mixtape?
On my mixtapes.
Okay, if it's good enough to make number 5 on your mixtapes.
I made them every couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I always wanted to see them kind of fall apart and be has-beens And this is
Why? Why do you
Because-
want to see entropy? There could be harmony. There could be utopia, and you want dystopia.
because it's the story arc.
Why do you hate happily ever after?
I think there's more to it. I think reality gives
There's
us
more
more.
to Bill and Ted.
There should be. And there is now, because now they face the music where they are has-beens. Mm-hmm. They have broken up. Their albums don't sell anymore unless they're
This
at
is
the
all in the first
UCD
5
store.
minutes of the show.
Yeah, they do show an opening credit scene where the band fell apart.
Yeah.
They sued Death.
Well, their real opening scene is previously on Bill and Ted's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's give our review then, gentlemen.
Oh, we're going right into it. Yeah.
Might as well. I mean, we can't really talk about the story, so let's just give our thoughts and feelings about it. Who has thoughts and feelings they'd like to start with? Zach, you've been mildly quiet.
Yeah. So I will just say, if you've seen the other Bill and Ted movies, this is another one. And so for what it's worth.
Oh, Zach, take it easy.
What?
It sounds like you're demeaning to the whole franchise itself. Zach, Excellent Adventure is
Excellent! I agree. I love Excellent Adventure. I don't really like Bogus Journey that much.
It's the Ghostbusters 2 of the franchise.
Yeah, this one might. I think it's probably on that same level where it's fine. There's something to me about seeing these characters again that's both at the same time charming and heartwarming and also slightly disappointing. It's like a don't meet your heroes thing. I don't know, where it's like, oh, I kind of wish this might have stayed in the past. And then the movie goes in directions that are really predictable. Joel called the ending about 15 minutes in,
Which made me angry that you even said that
I'm
and
sorry.
put that thought into my
I'm
head.
sorry, but I went. We actually stopped the movie, and I just kind of went. I have to say, if it goes this direction, I'm not going to be happy. And it was exactly the direction it went.
Yeah. But there will say there is plenty of fun to be had. I laughed and chuckled at a few different parts. It is completely goofy. I do not think it takes itself that seriously. And for that, I say, it's right in line with the franchise.
It's interesting that we saw Tenet first in the theater and then went back to my place and watched this movie because it's almost like reading, I don't know, John Steinbeck and then following it up with the Berenstain Bears.
I don't know. The Berenstain Bears has a moral and kind of a.
Hey, this movie had a moral.
Did too.
Did it? But no, I agree.
Music.
That's why we decided to lump these movies together, because they're so similar in tone and structure.
Joel, we love you, guy.
Time travel is used. Is that what you
Time
mean?
travel, yeah. Time is a device in the movies.
I would probably I'll give it a grade this time. I'd say it's probably like a C minus.
Don't give in to Kent's
Yeah.
scale.
Just give it a grade. It's fine.
Give it a,
Do
it's
your
a C
10.
minus.
Do your 10.
Yeah,
Do your
out of
10
10, it's probably a 4.5. Like it's just below average.
Okay.
It's not great.
I'll go next because I disagree with Zach. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is one of my all-time favorites.
We talked about it last year on the show. Does it still hold up?
It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those time capsule movies that I watch it and I'm like, this is such a late 80s, early 90s time capsule. And it's so ridiculous, it shouldn't work, and it does.
The surf bum characters really shouldn't work. It should be so incredibly dated, but
Yeah.
they are so fun to watch together.
Well, even just the way they do time travel. It's like, you know what? We're having fun with this. And you're like, okay.
Napoleon's eating an ice cream sundae.
Why not?
Great.
And then you get Bogus Journey, which is campy, but it was a childhood favorite of mine, so it always holds a special place in my heart, no matter how ridiculous it is at parts.
Yeah.
I believe when we talked about this movie, Bill and Ted Face the Music was coming up, I expressed many fears about, and you guys know this about me, I don't like reboots a lot. I don't like, kind of trying to capture the past. I'm like, let the past be the past, move on, let's try something different.
Right.
This movie was almost all of my fears realized.
Oh, no.
I watched at the beginning. I'm like, okay, this is kind of fun. And then it just started to fall apart right before my eyes, just crumbling before my eyes. I watched the movie crumble. And this became a predictable, unfunny mess.
There were funny parts.
There were funny parts.
We laughed.
That is why I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Because there were parts where I was like, okay, that's fine. Okay, I like that.
I personally, I hate laughed one character.
You
Near the
hate
end.
laughed.
I was laughing, but like just because of how dumb it was.
But Zach, you almost said my feelings exactly, where I was like, part of it was so fun to see these characters again, because a lot of characters come back. And then part of me made me sad that they were in this movie and being like, oh no, oh, you're slumming. And and like I said to you, Kent, the ending of Bogus Journey was them fulfilling their destiny. Like the first Bill and Ted movie ends with them passing history class, very low stakes,
Right.
so that they can then save the world. And they're playing music, and then Rufus is like, they get better because they do. They play like credit at the beginning, ha funny. That leads into a sequel. The end of Bogus Journey is the end of the story where it's like, and then they played this song, God Gave Rock and You. The whole world was watching because Denominus zapped the TVs. And that was the moment that united everyone. They in the newspaper clippings, they talk about planets aligning, them playing on Mars. It's all harmony. It's all wonderful. And then this just did the Incredibles 2, Frozen 2 thing where it's like, everything that happened in that second movie that resolved it, we're kicking that out and we're starting over from the beginning of the arc again. And it just made me sad.
How do you guys feel about the tone? Do you feel like they tried to match what they had before, or did they try to modernize it a little bit?
I think they definitely tried to modernize some things.
They modernized the B and C plot.
I feel like they tried. Well, okay, so first movie, they travel through space and time. Second movie, they travel through heaven and hell.
Right.
This movie, they travel through space and time and hell. It's just the same rehash of the old plots. There's nothing new. Like I thought when I saw the trailers,
Parallel dimensions.
I thought they were going to be visiting
been a
parallel
good idea.
dimensions, and that would be a different form of what the box could do. But instead, it's the same old, hey, you haven't saved the world yet, you still got to save the world kind of a thing. We still got to come up with a hit song. It was basically a Bogus Journey rehash rather than an Excellent Adventure rehash.
Which we don't need a Bogus Journey rehash.
Yeah, if you're going to pick one.
A warmed over microwave Bogus Journey.
And
that's
then,
what this is.
The daughters play a prominent role.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're very lovely young ladies. I wish them well in all their careers. But them doing impressions of Bill and Ted was cringeworthy. Because they're supposed to be their daughters and they emulate the way they talk and act. And
Right.
every time they spoke, I'm like, stop.
Yes, Samara Weaving and Bridget Lundy-Paine play Thea and Billy.
Yeah.
I really would have preferred them to be the complete opposite. Like
they've
snobby
rebelled against
yeah.
their dad. And they like the newer music that their dads don't like. Something like that.
What if they all had a relationship at the end and they hated, like you're saying, they hated their dads for a reason?
Yeah, like they were going the complete opposite direction.
We're kind of going a little too much in this story.
We are,
But
but I just So, point being is that I didn't like it. It was disappointing, and I did at one point walk out of the room because I was so bugged.
it's amazing. It was a great part of the movie. It was my favorite part of the movie when
sure
you
it
walked
was.
out of the house.
Yeah. So I'm giving this 2 stars because out of 5 because
That feels generous.
it is because here's the thing, there were parts that I liked, but overall I can see why other people might like it, but me, no, it's not my Bill and Ted. I will maintain I own the 2. I'm not going to own the 3rd.
So this doesn't give you the nostalgia kick that maybe someone else would get
It
from
almost did. It was like at the beginning, like, here we go. Oh, nope. You fell on your face.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay. Ken?
So Ghostbusters 1 was great. Ghostbusters 2, I was 10, so I still really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I still like that.
Right?
But
Because when
only
you're 10,
I saw
kind of
it.
like Bogus Journey.
Yes, we're gonna have to take the fall.
Like it's all fun, right? Like it's perfect for that demographic. And then they made Ghostbusters 2016. I mean, Bill and Ted Face the Music. I don't even know what I mean anymore.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Well, no, they had a lot of the original characters coming back and still paid homage. They didn't completely disregard the old movies.
I feel like they disregarded much.
They
of
disregarded-
the canon and
I
mythology.
think they disregarded mostly Bogus Journey.
And Keanu Reeves disregarded acting in this movie. Alex Winter is the MVP here. He was so good in this movie.
He was Bill.
Yeah.
He was Bill S. Preston Esquire.
I'm glad you brought it up. I thought, and I even made the mention that he's carrying the movie, and he really does throughout.
What was up with Keanu Reeves? Do you think he was playing it serious? Like he's like, I'm going to play like I am a real has-been Ted.
I think...
But yeah, you have to go with that voice too, by
he's
the way.
old and tired.
I hate to say it. I think that's who Keanu Reeves is, and he lucked out with John Wick. I don't
Really?
I think
How
so.
dare you, sir?
Just saying.
See, now-
because what does he really do as John Wick?
Shoot people?
In the acting department.
He shoots people.
I guess you could say I'm back.
but it works.
Did you see he's really good at fight choreography.
Yeah, he is.
but he doesn't speak. And it's for the betterment of the movie, I think.
Well, not even speak. Like, I think he probably rewatched those first 2 movies the weekend before this movie shot. And he's like, I'm going to try to act like that again. Whereas Alex Winter knows the role.
It's because he's been doing it at malls for the last 20 years.
And local Comic-Cons.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so sad. We're so condescending.
I know it is. He's making money and we're not. So
Yeah, and like the entire time travel, hell travel that they do in this movie felt bland. There was no fun to be
it
had.
wasn't even the same hell from Bogus Journey.
No. They're like, look what we can do. Hey, remember the graphics from Constantine in 2005? And Keanu Reeves like, I do. I love that movie.
I love
And they're like, what if we don't render those graphics and just put them in this movie in 2020?
But isn't it supposed to look campy and corny?
Yeah, I guess so.
But at the same time, Bogus Journey probably look better.
Bogus Journey has some horrible sets.
It does.
But this one does as well. And Zach, you were saying there's not really much budget here. I really didn't like this movie, and I'm sorry to say it. This is like a D+ for me. I was severely disappointed. I did laugh, and then there was a character that they really tried to sell, and about halfway through their shtick, I was like, and you'll know who I'm talking about. I liked it, and then it was too much.
Yeah.
And that was this movie. They went for too much, and I was like, I don't believe that these people could ever save the world.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not recommend.
Okay. So we got to hurry because we have a whole other movie to talk about plus spoilers for both movies.
Yes.
Let's change gears here, gentlemen.
Whoa.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Now we're into Tenet land. I keep saying Tenet because of David Tenet.
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 Christopher Nolan's latest movie.
Yeah. So this was...
Kent, why don't you start off?
This was meant to be the movie of the summer. It was meant to come out mid-July, and Christopher Nolan has been pushing for this to be in cinemas, which it now is.
We saw it in IMAX.
Yes.
In a very controlled, mask-wearing environment.
Yeah,
Very
spaced
spread out. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no one within 6 feet of us as we were sitting there.
Which is kind of nice, to be honest.
Nice, yeah.
So I knew a little bit of this movie going in, not story-wise, because I think all three of us only watched one trailer.
I had no idea what the story was.
Yeah. I just knew that things would go in reverse as things were progressing.
Right.
Yeah.
Through
You
time.
see, there's a shot of Kenneth Branagh in the trailer where you see a bullet hole disappear.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, so things move forward and backward.
Yeah.
And that's all I knew.
And that's all we knew. And so I was like, well, he's going to challenge me again. And challenge me, Christopher Nolan did. This whole movie, and I was looking at every scene. I'm watching every hand movement. I'm watching the camera pan. I'm like, okay, but what are they saying? It doesn't matter. Is this a Dunkirk type situation where the music and sound effects are so loud that I can just catch the vibe? And I was like, it doesn't matter. But I got lost along the way. Like, I was just trying to be like, okay, I understand what's going on here, but do I not need to know every word that they're saying?
Right.
And then, and without spoilers, halfway through the movie, I was totally sold. And it took me halfway through the movie because there's a pretty climactic set piece that happens, and it's stunning. And the way they pull it off is great. And then from then on, I was like, okay, I still don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to watch this in subtitles. And I will be watching this movie again probably this Friday, to be honest.
Oh, wow. That soon.
I need to. My mind is reeling from this experience.
Yeah.
I've had a few of these where, I mean, like an Inception movie or when I saw Arrival, I was like, wait a minute. I need to see that again right now. Like, what did I just see? This is one of those experiences because I need to understand what I just saw.
So
And
you're
I
going to spend
don't
another
quite
150
yet.
minutes trying to figure out this movie.
Oh, absolutely. Because my eyes were peeled this entire time. Even wearing a mask in the theater, which was a little annoying.
You can take it off when you eat popcorn. That says that on the credits.
I'll eat it really
After
slowly.
the 20 minutes of commercials that we saw before the movie started.
But I was enwrapped in this movie. I thought the performances were great. John David Washington. Oh, by the way, do people need to know what this is about? Probably.
Yeah, read the
I
synopsis.
would bet the synopsis doesn't explain much. But
And
go
it
for
doesn't. Armed with only one word, Tenet, and fighting for the survival of the entire world, a protagonist journeys through a twilight world of international espionage on a mission that will unfold in something beyond real time. So this
Interesting.
movie challenged me. It is Christopher Nolan's most challenging movie. I keep saying challenging, but that is the way I feel. And I go to the movies to feel challenged. Boy, this one stepped over the line. Can't wait to understand it. I'm going to give it a B+.
A B+.
Yes.
Okay.
Which could change based on next viewing.
You say the word challenging.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the word ambitious.
Oh, okay.
I feel like this was ambitious of Christopher Nolan to try something this bizarre.
Yeah.
In a summer blockbuster.
Well, and
type
telling
movie.
everyone to go see it.
Yeah. So here's my review.
Okay.
Future Joel probably likes this movie. Future Joel
Hey, Future Joel, how's it
understands
going?
this movie.
Yeah.
Future Joel has watched this a couple times and has finally got
Totally
to the point where he's
necessary.
like, this is good.
Yeah.
Present Joel is not there.
Yeah.
Right.
Present Joel, me now, I am not sure if I liked this movie.
Oh, wow.
Because I got to the point where I'm like, I'm having so hard a time trying to follow what's going on. because people have heavy accents when they're trying to do long exposition. People are wearing masks when they're trying to do exposition.
It's a very international movie.
There's music playing over when they're trying to do exposition, and there's a lot of exposition as they try to explain what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I feel like they set up some rules and then didn't follow them.
I'm curious to know. We'll get there in spoilers.
In spoilers, we can talk about it, because there's sometimes where I'm like, wait, but you said, how does that... So I was trying to figure out what was going on. There's some questions that remain unanswered.
Yes.
There's some loose ends out there. And it just kind of, it got to the point where I walked out and I actually, the truth is I walked out going, I didn't like that movie.
Wow.
I didn't. And as I was driving around and thinking about it and questioning reality as I was walking through Walmart.
Weren't you?
I think just looking around, it really did mess with your mind.
For me, it was like when I walked out of Truman Show or The Matrix and I was like, what? Yeah. Where do I live? What's going on? Yeah.
But then comparatively, we watched Bill and Ted right after. No, that's what I'm saying. I watched Bill and Ted after. I'm like, Tenet did a lot better than that.
A lot.
And so I'm dancing, guys. I don't know where I'm going to land on the star rating.
This is a movie to dance on, honestly.
Because I think I will like it more down the road, but I do feel like it might be a bit much, and people might not enjoy it the first time because there's so much going on, and it's hard. It's hard to enjoy a movie when you're concentrating as hard as you can, just trying to hang on to the plot and figure out what's going on. And that's what I felt.
If anyone does their first time around, bless you. I think you're lying.
Yeah.
Because it's too much.
I feel like I was being like kill-hauled behind a boat, just being dragged along in the water, and occasionally get my head up and be like, oh, I understand. Wait, no. And that's how I felt. But at the same time, I want to see it again because I want to know more about the movie. And now that I know what's going on, figure it out.
Would you watch a breakdown of the movie first and then see the movie, or would you just want to go
I'm going to read through the plot synopsis first and be like, okay, I think I got this. Because I thought, we'll get to the spoilers. I think I'm going to land at a 3 stars.
Okay.
Which is right in the middle, I know. But it's because it could go either way on subsequent viewings. But I was impressed by the scale of what was going on, by the technicality of what they were doing on the screen, how the visual effects looked, the way they were trying to tell a story. I appreciate it, even if I was kind of just confused for a lot of it. And there were definite parts that I understood and I enjoyed. And I even there were even parts that I picked up on, I figured out before they actually happened.
Would you say, you know how I kind of talk about Wes Anderson, how he's buying into his own brand. He likes his own smell. And that's what he does now. Do you think this is Christopher Nolan's version of that?
It does kind of feel like he got a little more leash and he kind of went crazy with it.
He's at least for a while, though.
But I mean, if you notice, like with Interstellar and then Dunkirk, he's kind of just like, oh, I can do what I want. Let me try a little something crazier. Let me try something a little crazier. Well, and this is like, okay.
So this leads into
that leads perfectly into mine. So Kent, you said it was challenging. Joel, you said it was ambitious. My one word I would use is indulgent. I think this is Christopher Nolan at his Christopher Nolan-iest, and I don't know that that's entirely a good thing. I completely agree with your take. This is a movie that you absolutely want to watch again, which is common in Christopher Nolan's movies. There are movies that he's made I have immediately wanted to watch again.
Save it for Monday's show.
This is the first one that I've wanted to watch because I felt like I needed to, because I didn't have a complete experience the first time.
And you did have a splitting headache during the movie.
And it made it worse.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I had a bit of a headache walking into it, and
oh man,
it made it worse.
You need to see this again then.
But I think it really comes down to there's so much going on, and it's muffled and difficult to grasp onto. And then when the scenes play out and the set pieces are there, I don't care. I don't care that I don't fully understand what's happening. I love watching it. It looks so good. It's so cool. The action is, I mean, he's come a long way in directing
It's
action.
like stuff you've never seen before.
And the way they do it is so clever, but it feels so indulgent in that way. It's like we just want to push it to these really cool action ideas we have.
You bring up a point. It kind of felt like they found a special effect. They were like, hey, we could do this in a movie. And they planned a movie around it so they could show that special effect over and over and over again.
Yeah. And
not enough in my mind.
Well,
but I agree, Zach.
They go from a little bit to too much.
I feel like it. You said the don't care thing. There were parts when I'm like, I don't even know who's doing what right now.
Yeah,
and so the emotion was pulled out of it. And I feel like that's one thing it was missing was an emotional core, like you get in a lot of his other movies. I don't feel like there was a character that I could latch onto emotionally. There was no emotional. There was no
Murph
moment from Interstellar.
No Maul.
Yeah, or Maul moment from Inception. Like there's
Rachel.
Yeah. Well, even the Dark Knight, stuff like that, there's these emotional moments. Yeah. I did not have an emotional moment in this. I had some kind of, whoa, that was cool moments, but never like emotional pulled into it.
Yeah. Again, as watching it, I feel bad saying this, but I kind of feel like it's a bit of a Transformers thing where you don't know what's fully going on, but you just accept it. Now,
I don't see any sharp objects in the room, but let's be careful.
I'm looking.
This is obviously not a fair comparison because it's much, much, much better than that. But it is a little bit of a, I think this is fun. I'm going to believe this is fun. I trust him. I know this is good filmmaking.
No, the weird thing is,
but on first pass,
the way Christopher Nolan writes these movies, this actually does all make sense. Like this is written down somewhere where there is nary a plot hole, which there are some, especially with this science. But the thing is, I think it's very hard for him to communicate that to his audience.
Do you know how sometimes when you're writing something, you get in your own head and you're like, I know what I'm saying, but then you say it and other people don't catch on because they're not in your head? That may have been this movie.
And that's most of his career, right? Most of his movies, I'd say outside of the Batman movies, do that. Which we'll talk about soon. But anyway, as far as a review or a score, I'll give it an 8.
Well, that's still really high.
Because I really think it's a good movie. It is a good movie. I just think that I'm going to give it more of a chance. Much like you said, Joel. I completely agree with you. I think
Future Zach's going to like it.
Future Zach will have it higher on his list than he.
This will be
right
Future
now.
Ken's #1 Nolan movie, even though right now I'm like, what the crap did I just see?
Yeah. But I mean, do you think people will like it? Do you recommend the listener to go see it?
If you're a member of the general public, no, you won't like it.
You just say slack-jawed yokel. That's what you're saying.
Like I was, no,
I think the scenes are cool enough that most people.
I was
will
talking
like
to
it.
my stepdad, and he loves spy movies. He loves action movies, and I'm like, there are parts of this movie he is going to eat up. Everything else, he'll probably fall asleep to because it's a lot of exposition, as in Nolan's movies a lot. But
I think it moves through that quick enough, though.
Really,
too quick. That's the problem.
I think there's a lot we missed. And I think that's why I'm going to buy this day one on 4K to watch the subtitles.
I'm absolutely going to watch it again, but I will not do so until I can do it with subtitles.
Really?
I'm not
Okay.
I won't see it in theater again. I will wait until it comes out, and I will buy it in the
there are
highest
things I
quality
can't wait to see again in theater.
And I have to see it with subtitles.
All right.
So how do you guys feel like Robert Pattinson, John David Washington, Elizabeth Debicki did?
Loved Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, wasn't he great?
I loved him.
Surprisingly good. Like,
See, I told you, he's good.
He was
surprisingly,
my favorite part.
Not like wow, but like I was like, wow, you know what? I might like him in things now.
Like Batman.
Yeah.
He was refreshing. I liked every time he entered the scenes. I thought he brought a really good energy.
Okay, and I'll say this. I felt like he was a character. Meaning like it's like, okay, yeah. I feel like John David Washington, kind of a blank slate.
Well, they call him protagonist for a reason.
Yeah, he's generic protagonist.
And they do this a lot in Nolan movies where it's almost like the man, right? The protagonist.
Yeah.
He is meant to be that unstoppable force more than a character.
name? The character doesn't have a
He
name?
does.
Oh.
But they call him protagonist many times throughout the movie.
Okay. All right, should we get into spoilers?
Let's do it. Are we
All right.
doing...
I got one. It's
Okay.
Spoilers. That's the song that saved the world. Spoilers. No words, just music. Spoilers. We're going to spoil Bill and Ted Face the Music. We're going to spoil Tenet. Spoiler alert for both these movies. Let's start with Bill and Ted, shall we, gentlemen?
Speaking of spoilage,
because it spoiled the franchise.
I didn't like this movie.
No, it wasn't good.
I really
wanted it to be so good.
But
even
if we
said-
were 10, would it be good?
maybe
I don't think so.
because it doesn't read to maybe today's 10-year-old.
Well, not only that, but it is dependent on knowing and loving the earlier two. Like they're just glossing over stuff like, oh yeah, remember the time we were in hell? Yeah, we were in hell, whatever. And they move on with that. And I'm like, unless you've seen Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, you have no really relationship between them and death. Like, why is he playing hopscotch?
And they go through a whole big scene about Death left the band because they didn't agree, and you need to make up
Didn't
for
the movie
him.
stop at that moment?
Oh, it was
For me, I was just like, I stopped the movie.
And
I got bugged right at the beginning when they said they broke up because I'm like, no. At the end of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, you said they got together, there was harmony, everyone was happy. As corny as it was to have Death and Station playing in the band,
I hated Station.
that I did too. Even as a kid, I hated
Yeah.
Station. But
Freaks me out.
that was the perfect ending. And then they tacked this on, like, and then that didn't work. Sorry.
So the thing that Joel guessed 15 minutes into the movie, they keep referencing Preston and Logan.
Well, okay, so every other Bill and Ted movie, when they visit future people, they're like,
Wild Stallions.
Yeah, they're like, Bill S. Preston, Esquire, Ted Theodore Logan. It's like, oh yeah, you're the ones going to save the universe. And this one, they're like, the prophecy says that Preston and Logan. And I went, who the heck are Preston
Logan? Preston Logan.
And I said, in my mind, I went, who the heck are Preston Logan? And I went, oh, it's their last names. Oh, this is one of those prophecy things where it's not who we thought it was the whole time because they wanted to create a new movie and pass the torch to the daughters. So this is going to be the daughters.
You mean Star Wars?
Yes. It wasn't Luke or Anakin.
Who was the chosen one? Blah.
So in the next movie, it'll be the two daughters with the robot. That is hilarious.
Okay, so the robot, Ken, you were right. And Zach, were you pity laughing at
that? Was the
robot?
hate chuckle.
Because I actually enjoyed the robot's humor sometimes.
Yeah. Oh,
but halfway through his act, I was like, oh, wait, that's funny.
Yeah.
It took a while.
And then it kept going.
There.
He wanted to be the new Death because Death was the best part of Bogus Journey, honestly.
Yeah.
And so this was that new lovable character.
It was good to see Death again.
For a second.
It was, but at the same time, I was like, does Death age? Because he looked older.
Well, didn't they all?
They all did.
Also, with the whole time thing, and I know time travel isn't like brilliant in Bill and Ted,
but they also don't have hard and fast rules to break like the Avengers or something.
But reality was being destroyed if they didn't have the song, and then they went to the future where they didn't have the song, and reality was fine.
Well, not only that, but they have a time limit of like it has to happen by this time, and they're counting
and
down
they're time
to that
travelers.
time. And I'm like, you literally could travel somewhere else and then travel back to this exact second. In fact, that's what they do in Bogus Journeys. They're like, we still don't know how to play instruments. Travel, go do a big jam session, come back and play.
Yeah.
And they didn't care in this one. Oh, that's another thing that bugged me, by the way. They make, so at the end of Bogus Journey, I know I keep referencing Bogus Journey, but that was like the end of the franchise.
This is Bogus Journey.
But he says, like, when they come back from their little vacation, they're like, we had our honeymoon. This is little Ted. Hello, little Ted. This is little Bill. Hello, little Bill. And then this one, they're like, oh, it was such a joke that you called them little Ted and little Bill when they're daughters. It's like, no, they were supposed to be, they were sons in the original, and then you retconned it to make them women in this one and said, oh, that was just a joke.
Wilhelmina.
Yeah.
Remember Missy? That's funny. Let's bring her back.
That actually made me laugh that she was married to someone else, but then the joke went a little too long. I like that they brought back the original actress then, even though they didn't bring back the real deacon.
Yeah, they should have brought back a real deacon.
I don't know. And we didn't bring back the real princesses either.
Yeah, that was weird.
True. And also the princess storyline of their marriage is falling apart because they all love each other. It's some weird commune thing instead of
we love you guys.
Once again, a joke that was funny and then went on too long.
See, what I would have liked to see, and when I talk about them being has-beens, I would have liked to see them being playing coffee shops and then being accountants during the day. And then maybe having to make it right again and rediscover who they were and maybe go in parallel dimensions.
Or having lost touch with it and coming back to it.
Because in this one, they're basically, their daughters form a supergroup of one-dimensional historical characters.
At least
that's
in
the
Bill and
Excellent
Ted's
Adventure. Yeah.
At least in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, they had personalities. Like you were like, oh, Napoleon's an idiot. Genghis Khan is crazy. Like you kind of get the Abraham
all of
Lincoln's,
them in the mall.
Then they go to the mall.
Yeah. It's Socrates and John Socrates and Billy the Kid teaming up was hilarious.
Yeah.
And this one, they literally go pick these people up and then they don't do anything.
But then they also play a song, and Bill and Ted are like, well, we still need something to do. And then they do another movie within a movie and give musical instruments to the entire universe.
That's the plan? Giving musical instruments to the entire universe? And they can zap
themselves. Like, did you realize how lazy that end was? It ended as soon as they're like, we got nothing else. And they said, it worked.
Yeah, we can go everywhere all at once, and everyone's going to have an instrument and know how to play it. And that's how the world gets united.
Yeah, I'm like, what if they give like a saxophone player a guitar? What's he going to do with that? It really was like, I got to the end and I was like, that just annoyed me. I was just bugged. I was just bugged by that.
This to me felt like a charity sketch on YouTube that they turned into a movie.
Yes. But I feel like YouTubers could be more funny.
Which is like the charity episode of Parks and Rec.
Okay. It does, well, that's it. Yeah, it feels like this was a Kickstarter program where it's like, we can put this together, we can do it. And I feel like people are going to be mad that I didn't like, oh, you hate Bill and Ted. And I'm like, no, I love Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and I do love Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Which is why you don't like
Which is why I don't like this movie. Yeah. It's because of those I don't like this.
Because seeing them older doesn't bother us, really. It's just not really having a story or characters.
Terrible.
Well, sure he did.
It's funny, he was the running joke of he's never aged, and then he shaved, and you're like, yeah, he really has. And he looks like he's wearing so much makeup.
Yeah.
They all were. So yeah.
Okay, actually, there was one scene in Dave Grohl's mansion. I really did enjoy that scene.
That's funny.
When they were British and they were acting like they
Keanu
were...
did a way better job being the character versions of Ted than actual Ted that you follow the whole movie.
But it felt like they were trying to do this little costume parade. Okay, visual effects. I actually liked it. Like when they were muscly, and I was like, "Is that a bodysuit or is that CGI?" Because it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
And the robot I thought looked good, like just costume wise. Like there was visual stuff where I'm like, "Yeah, I like that."
It's refreshing to see the phone booth again.
Yeah. Although Kristen Shaw and the egg thing, as soon as she popped out, I groaned because I'm like, "No."
Also, Rufus wouldn't marry that woman.
No, the great leader.
Yeah.
And why did she send back the robot to kill them? Because killing them would do it.
Make some martyrs and then the world unites.
Like she has the prophecy that says they're going to save the world. And it's like, or kill them. That's the prophecy. Whatever.
Well, once again, it was just stealing the story from the other two movies.
Sending back the robots to kill Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
I think the visual, you mentioned the visual things. So they go back and they go in 2 years and then 4 years or whatever, 2 years and 5 years, and then they jump 5 years forward every time. They become completely different people every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it really just feels like it was put in there to put in the trailer.
Like a sketch.
That's kind of why I assumed it would be parallel dimension based on the trailers
too.
I saw.
Yeah.
But no.
No, they are barely different from when they were 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they drastically change body type and size
Comedic effect.
every 5 years?
It's comedic effect. That's all it is.
Is that what? No, that's cool.
That's all it is.
It was funny, so the effect worked.
Some of them were funnier than others. But yeah, some of them were just sad.
Anything else?
All right.
No.
So that's now Bill and Ted's. Let's get on to Tenet.
This will be the
now
weirdest
gonna
spoiler
spoil.
thing for Tenet because we don't quite understand the movie.
Yeah.
So where do we start with this one? Okay, one rule I thought they broke until I thought about the movie more is halfway through the movie, and I hope you've seen the movie because this will really confuse you.
Please,
halfway
if you
through the
have not
movie,
seen the movie.
you
Let's
finally
give-
see the same person in different timelines, almost, or reverse and forward.
I was going to say, let's give a little bit of story here. Spoiler story.
Yes.
So Tenet is essentially someone has discovered how to send things in a motion backwards through time instead of we're all moving forward through
You
time.
can control reverse actions.
And so what would happen is they say, okay, here's the thing. We're going to start setting it on an opposite trajectory, so it's actually moving backwards in time. So to you, everything's normal except for this thing is acting weird.
Right.
But then they find out how to actually send themselves backwards through time. And it's not a time travel. I mean, they can't jump to a certain point. It's like they just kind of slingshot around the moon and start going the other way, back towards Earth.
So until that happened, until I actually saw characters do two things in two different forward backwards realities, I wasn't really sold on the movie. And then I went, wow, okay, that just blew my mind a little bit.
So
What was the moment that you said it picked up for you?
It was in the car chase. And
Which
then
is
So
the
it's
handoff,
after-
and then it was right when this. Oh yeah, we're spoilers.
We're spoilers.
When Elizabeth Debicki is shot, and then you see things happen the other way, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even care what happens.
Yeah.
That was something
When
to
you see what, you see a car that is flipped and it flips back and is normal, and then you realize, oh, that's an important car because our character is in that car.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question? And this is an understanding question. I'm not being nitpicky here.
Yeah, we're all here for this.
So when you send something backwards in time, meaning you set on that trajectory, there's no way to rewind back to where you were, right? They can't fast forward back.
They have to change their trajectory again, which they swap a couple times.
But no, they change their trajectory. But like, say for example, I went and started backing time, and then I went back to Monday of this week, and then I flipped myself forward in time. I'm still in Monday. I can't get back to when we're recording today, right?
no.
I'm
Because
stuck in
your
that
time
timeline.
moved backward, and you can't. You will live
eventually, if
parallel
it's
to
you
your
today, this is how crazy
That's what I'm
time
saying.
travel is.
Like, okay, put it on the freeway. Okay, I'm driving to Salt Lake, and I'm driving backwards to Salt Lake.
Are you talking about when they break into that Pentagon area, and then
when I flip around forwards in Salt Lake, I'm still in Salt Lake, and I have to travel normal speed back to my home.
Correct.
So, like, there's no way to get back to the time you were in.
Yes,
No,
you're
because
right.
it's not time travel.
Exactly.
It's regular time
So,
passing.
like, when they were doing these trips, I'm like, this is a one-way trip. Like, you're there. So, what happens to your other self? You're still there, right?
Are you asking about Robert Pattinson at the end?
Robert Pattinson,
The sacrifice at the end.
Kenneth Branagh. Like, why wasn't he on the boat?
Kenneth Branagh?
Yeah.
because he was elsewhere.
You mean his other self?
The back travel.
This is why it's very important to have seen this movie.
The back traveling Kenneth Branagh was on the boat.
Well, he knew the rules more than anyone. He knew that you shouldn't be anywhere near yourself.
Where was regular Kenneth Branagh?
That was regular Kenneth Branagh.
No, because he knew everything that had happened before. So he'd gone back.
I don't think so.
Because where was Kenneth? Because Kenneth Branagh.
By the way, everyone listening, this is us trying to figure it out.
Kenneth Branagh was on the boat with his wife.
Yeah, on his vacation.
And they had that memory. But then when she went back, it was the backwards time Kenneth Branagh.
I don't think it was.
So what happened to regular Kenneth Branagh on that time?
I think that was Kenneth Branagh of that previous timeline.
But then where is he in the regular timeline?
It's the grandfather thing they talk about.
No, because when you loop back, you're always going to be there. So when he goes back, there's always a him.
The grandfather paradox means they break the cycle when she kills him.
But they didn't because, well, when they kill him, yeah.
Well, they did an Inception thing where they say they bring in the grandfather paradox and they say it's a paradox. They make it so simple that they say we're going to break our own rules because no one quite understands them. If you kill your grandpa, you might never survive. But if you maim him, you might.
But that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking that you can coexist in the same space here. You just can't touch each other according to their rules.
Right.
But whenever they travel back in time, where's their other person?
Elsewhere.
Just
in
elsewhere.
that same timeline.
Just elsewhere.
Yeah. But they're within that same time.
That was the part that confused me.
Well, that's why
when I watch it again, I'm going to be super curious to watch it.
Well, John David Washington fights himself.
Exactly.
But in reverse.
That wasn't that so cool?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I did call that one, by the way.
Oh, you knew it was him?
Not at the beginning. Like at the first, I thought, oh, maybe that's Kenneth Branagh on there in the suit. But then it was all of a sudden when I realized he
as
was
soon
going
as you
back.
see Robert Pattinson grab the mask and then walk away, you're
Yes.
like, something's going on.
I
thought it was Robert Pattinson.
I thought it was too.
Well, yeah, I thought Robert Pattinson saw himself. So yeah, this is another explanation thing for those who hadn't seen. When you go in this backwards timeline, things work differently. Like air blows at your back when you're walking. And
and you're a bit discombobulated.
It's like getting just a different world. And then your lungs don't work the same because the air doesn't work with them with inverted lungs. So they have to wear masks. And so that's how you can tell who's backwards
Only
timeline
at first,
and
only
who's
until they
forward
get
timeline.
acclimated. Because I was like, oh,
What?
they broke their own rule. But you just need to get acclimated because you see at the end when they start planning the army attack.
No, they're in like a sealed chamber.
They're in their sealed chamber.
But some of them are outside and there's no big deal.
No, but
You
they're
just
wearing a
see
mask.
their faces.
They're wearing their masks
They're
with
wearing their clear
respirators.
masks.
I feel like there were some planting seeds. Oh, are they always in a sealed chamber?
They're always in a mask.
You can
or sealed
see there's
chamber.
like plastic every time they walk.
That's
in
what
a
they
room.
said.
So even
this
when they
group
were
is in
getting
the
the
back.
briefing, was
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Because that point, I'm like, okay,
Well, no,
they don't need them.
in the briefing, they were all there getting together. They're like, okay, red side, blue side. Blue side, you're going to go in the tunnel and you're going to be backwards time. Red side, you're going to be forwards time.
And they actually show you Robert
I need to watch this
Pattinson's
again.
about to switch around because he's on one team, but his watch is the other color.
Oh, I didn't notice
He
that.
keeps looking down at the watch. His watch was always the
That
wrong
actually
color.
bugged me at one point. Wow, we're getting really in the weeds here.
Yeah, we
There
are.
was a part where the car was driving forward and honking, and it was driving forward, and it was he had a blue patch on. I'm like, no, blue team's supposed to be backwards. What the heck is going on? But then coming to find out, he'd switched. So I was that pulled me out for a second, though. But that's what they do in the movies. They try to help you. They try to help you distinguish who's in forward and who's in reverse based on who's wearing a mask and then who's wearing a color in that one.
The scene when what's our protagonist's name? Anyway,
protagonist.
John David Washington. When he first gets swapped over and he is walking.
His name is the protagonist.
Oh, perfect. Because I don't think they ever say his name. So when he's walking and it's sort of backwards but forwards, it looks so cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out how do they film that?
There's so many times where you can tell they probably filmed it normal and reversed it, but then it's intercut enough where he's also living in that forwardness, and so it is.
Can't you just
So clever.
appreciate the practical effects that went into this movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was gonna,
absolutely.
one of the things I wanted to talk about because, listener, we don't talk about the movies even if we see them together until this moment.
Right, that's why we're so excited.
That's what we're talking. Oh, if I could talk about
The
it.
plane crash that looked 100% practical. When the plane
guess what?
crashes
When the
into the
big
building,
Guess what? It was practical.
Yeah,
It
a
looked
big
amazing.
747 crashes into a warehouse, and it looks.
I would
so
imagine
cool.
it's probably on a smaller scale or
even
something.
when it's
it's
just
real.
knocking over the light
Really?
poles.
It's 100% real.
Even when it's knocking
so
over
cool.
the light poles, there's something in your brain that can tell when something's real and when something's CGI. And even with just going through these light poles and knocking them over slowly, I was like,
When they knocked
whoa.
over those buildings at the end, and you see them be destroyed backwards and forwards, that's all real. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're the amount
probably miniatures on that on the building.
the amount
I don't
of
know
cleverness.
with what Nolan does these days.
It only had a budget of 200 to 225 million, Kent.
That's it.
Well, that's why you
They
only
don't
know.
have, they don't have budget for buildings.
That's why you only know Robert Pattinson in this movie.
Here's one of my main issues with the movie, though, and
Yeah.
just the way my brain works. So there's a part when they go to a gun range, and there's all these bullet holes in the wall, and then he picks up a gun and he shoots, but instead of the bullet shooting into the cement, it actually comes out and he catches it
catches
in the
it
gun
with the gun,
because
yeah.
the gun and the bullet are inverted. That's
So
what I call it.
it already has been fired.
Right. But in my mind, and this happened a couple of times in the movie, where I'm like, well, but where does it start? Meaning they walk into a room and there's a bullet hole in the wall. And that means, oh, a gun has been fired. Yeah, that's fine. But what happens when you walk into a room and then you go in inversion and then you do something? The person didn't see the bullet hole. Like there has to be a starting point of when the bullet hole just appears.
That's the thing, that everything's living in reverse. That's why I made the joke
Well-
about River Song from Doctor Who.
Which was
That's
actually
what you meant.
was really quite valid because at the end of the movie, our Pattinson, the protagonist, they have this conversation, and Robert Pattinson says, "This is the end of my story. This is the beginning of yours."
We have been friends
Which
for a
is
long time.
totally Ghost in the Library.
Yeah, and I actually
Doctor Who reference.
I like that they did that. River Song, even though they messed up that story, I thought that was great.
The River Song with David.
And
Tennant.
guess what I said?
Even with some Matt Smith.
In my mind, I went, "Would Nolan make a sequel to this?"
It's the most sequel worthy of all of his movies.
Well,
Other than the Batman movies, yeah.
but here's the thing
I said
about
what
that.
I said.
Oh,
I almost feel like, though, at the end with Robert Pattinson, him saying, like, you know, hey, you actually hired me and all that different stuff, even though they'd never
for me,
met
that was the
before.
emotional core. I went, "Huh."
Well, but more for me, it almost felt like tacked on, like, and here's a cool twist, and here's a cool twist, and here's a cool twist. The whole time, I've had this rabbit in my hat. Good night, everybody.
See, I like that. But
It was
what
fine.
what I was confused about is, I know we're not supposed to understand, but the device. What is the device? There's
It's-
9 pieces to this device. The algorithm.
The MacGuffin.
It's crazy, though, right?
They had
Who
to
sent
explain
it?
how it happens.
Who sent it?
The future.
The people from the future.
So it's
They.
Matthew McConaughey.
It's they.
It's Matthew
They sent it.
McConaughey.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I get this
From
reference.
Interstellar.
But even the woman, the Indian woman, I don't even know her name.
Yeah.
But what did she have to do with it? I was so confused by
Almost
that
as much as Tenet actually had to do with it. That's why it's so funny that the synopsis says, "Oh, armed with only one word, Tenet." That means almost nothing to the story.
Well, other than being the, what do they call it when a word comes
It's
together?
like it's like a code word.
Oh, a palindrome.
Palindrome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was going to come into play more, where it's like, oh, it's important to say this word because it goes both ways. Or
I was a little disappointed it didn't end on the opera house because that beginning scene, I was like, what's going on here?
I absolutely thought it was going to.
Every action piece almost reversed itself. So I'm like, we're going to find out what happened there.
It was suggested by the title and the trailer, but we even said on the show that we thought the movie was going to be a palindrome. It was going to end wherever it begins.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have this cool action set piece to start the movie, which, I mean, classic Nolan, right? Like great opening action set piece, but we don't end up back there. And
Yeah, I was a little
none of that
disappointed
was
in that.
explained.
Right.
And
I mean, that was just set up, and that was an operation for the CIA. It had nothing to do with the actual.
but
Tenet
you
stuff.
see an inverted bullet.
You do,
Which I thought
And I
maybe
thought it
Robert
was-
Pattinson was a character there, or even the protagonist.
It was, in my mind, it was going to
Because
be
it
the
seemed like he was
protagonist.
getting help from someone other than just his one guy there.
He was getting
who
saved by
killed with.
himself.
Yes.
But nope, not explained.
Maybe in the sequel.
if there is a sequel.
This will make money. Not the money that if it wasn't a pandemic year, but still.
I don't think it'll get a sequel.
So,
don't know if it
have we
will
covered
either.
it?
I think so.
This is a long bacon bit.
This is. We're at 48 minutes.
It's a long movie.
So, yeah, well, we did 2 movies. So
Well,
there you
even
go.
this Tenet itself is a long movie, and you know what? It changes gears a lot, almost in a way that I didn't really like. You know,
I
think
was
there's-
grateful for the gear change.
See, it just felt like, okay, here's this thing, and now we're going to switch. And hey, we're going to have a random scene with Michael Caine because Christopher Nolan just loves him so much.
Well, don't we
and
all?
gear change. And I mean, it's great. And it just didn't feel like it interconnected in a clever way at all.
Okay.
And then but like you said, once our protagonist gets inverted, it's
Smooth
it's
sailing
off to
for
the
me at that
races.
point, yeah.
So cool. I love
Maybe
it.
if that happened way sooner in the movie.
Yeah.
And there was some explanation as to why Kenneth Branagh was important.
I really liked they talk about the mirror. I think they give it a name, but where they see what's coming out of the mirror before they go into it. So it's almost like our Robert Pattinson at one point knows that he's going to go in and get inverted because he sees it happening in the future. Just super
It's like make
clever.
your choice.
It's not really the future; it's actually the past at that point.
But it's like,
he's going in reverse.
but just like the gun and the bullet, the action is yours if you want to take it.
Yeah.
But you have to, because what happens,
You don't have to.
What happened?
You don't have to catch the bullet.
Happened. That's what Robert
But
Pattinson
she said
says.
that's up to you.
Do you not believe
But-
Robert Pattinson?
No,
what has happened?
The scientist said
happened.
it's free will.
But we didn't see that.
But it's already been done. The
Yeah.
bullet only moves because it was moved. But
At some point,
what
if you
Robert
want to.
Pattinson is saying is what's happened has happened. So that means that the bullet was always going to have been moved.
Philosophy versus Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah.
It's a tough sell.
no,
we did watch them in the wrong
this is
order.
a closed loop. Isn't that what we called it? The time travel. And this is a closed loop.
Yes.
So what had happened has happened.
But it is a lot better than stuff that happens in Doctor Who, where they say,
Wibbly
we
wobbly,
can't
timey
change
wimey."
this because wibbly wobbly, you can't change some stuff you can, some stuff you can't.
Yep.
They don't ever go there. And they really don't, I don't think they approach this as a time travel movie.
No, it's not. It's not a time travel movie as much as it is a.
Inverse reaction movie.
It's a time momentum movie.
Yeah.
They just change the momentum of the direction. They change the velocity. No, they don't change the speed. They actually change the direction.
Okay, now we're getting all sciencey. Hey, everyone, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. We just got demonetized.